Hey guys! So for today I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to get a Japanese visa. And if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you are planning on going abroad pretty soon, or you're planning on going abroad sometime in the future. So just a disclaimer here, if you are living in America and you are looking to get a Japanese visa, one thing I would note is that if you're already an American citizen, then you're technically exempt from actually applying for a Japanese visa because of Japanese and American rules or standards or something like that. So lucky you guys if you guys are American citizens, or if you're a foreigner and you've already applied for your American citizenship and you have one, then that's also good for you guys because you guys are technically exempt as well. But if you are living in America on a green card or some other kind of form of proof of residence, but you're not an American citizen, then this video will probably help you guys the most. So if you guys are still watching this video, then I'm assuming that all those things that I mentioned before in my disclaimer doesn't apply to you, so that's good that you guys are still watching. So basically I'm just gonna read off of the things that the Japanese embassy requires you to have. And I think that with every embassy in every single city, there's going to be different regulations and different rules and things that you might or might not need to bring. But for me, since I live in the city of Houston, these rules would apply to you guys. So if you guys are living in Houston and looking to get a Japanese visa, then this would be very, very helpful for you guys to know. And also note that I'm going to be talking to you guys about some of the things that I've learned from actually applying for Japanese visa. Just FYI here, but Japanese visas are probably one of the hardest visas that I've ever tried to apply for, just because they're very, very specific in terms of what they exactly want, and they might not actually explain to you over the phone what they want until you actually go to the office. And once you're there, you assume that you have everything, and then there's always that one little thing that they always forget to mention to you when you're on the phone with them, so you have to go all the way back home and then come the next day, and that just, it delays so much. And I'm talking about this from personal experience, so for you guys out there who haven't applied for visa yet, then you guys know what to look out for when you do actually apply for one. So the visa that I'm going to talk to you guys about is the visa that is for tourism. If you're applying for a student visa or work visa, there's going to be totally different rules and things you need to bring in. The tourist visa that I applied for only lasts about 1 to 2 weeks because I'll only be there for a short amount of time. But if you're planning on staying there longer, then you probably need to bring more documentation to prove that you are staying longer. If you're applying for a tourist visa, you go to the main website. I think you can type in like how to apply for Japanese visa, and it usually will pull up website on where you can print out the application to applying for the visa. And it's about like a 2-page paper. It just basically asks you about like personal information about yourself, such as your first name, your birthday, and that kind of stuff. Just an important note, but if you are planning on staying with somebody, or if you're staying at a hotel, or you're renting an apartment or something, then you need to, of course, put down that contact information while you'll be staying over there in Japan, so the embassy knows that you are staying somewhere and not just wandering about Japan and not actually having a place to stay at. One thing I will note that I did not know prior to applying for a Japanese visa is that if you're planning to stay in Japan with maybe a friend or a relative or something, they're very, and I mean like not even kidding about this, but they are very specific on who you're staying with and what exactly you'll be doing. They told me that if I was planning on staying with anyone in Japan, that they would need to have all this personal information sent from their side over to our side so they could process it and make sure that, you know, everything is good with them and they know who I am and I'm not just like a complete stranger or something like that. I would say that if you are planning to stay in Japan for more than 2 weeks, I would recommend talking to your friend or whoever you might be seeing or staying with, that they do show some kind of documentation to the Japanese embassy to prove that if you are staying at their place for a long period of time, that you're not like illegal or something. If you're planning to stay longer, but if you're like me who's planning to stay less than 2 weeks, then I don't find it necessary. Another really important thing I will note about applying for a Japanese visa is that Japanese visas take quite a while to process. They take about 5+ days depending on like how long it takes and how much documentation you're planning to send over to the main office in Washington. It will take about 5 days. My personal experience was that I had actually came in like a day later than I expected to go, and that kind of killed my time processing my visa, just because visas take so long to process. And even if you're like 1 day late, if you've already paid for your plane ticket and everything, then you have to adjust to the visa, because without the visa, like at least in my case, I can't fly out of the country. I actually ended up having to change my flight 3 times to be able to process my visa on time and be able to depart, so that kind of sucked. It's like a good learning lesson, so you know, if you are planning to go to Japan, please make sure that you have at least 2 weeks at tops to plan for your visa. Pretty much everything's first come first served. If you are missing something, which most likely you will be, they will usually tell you you have everything on the phone, and as soon as you get there they'll tell you, oh, you're missing something, and you're like, what? You didn't mention me that? Just letting you know that. The visa fee is about $27, and they usually will ask for exact change. They don't accept checks, or you can't pay with any kind of form of card, so cash is very important. Documentations that you will need to actually bring to the office will be, of course, the online application for the visa, some kind of passport picture that you can tape to the actual application so they know what you look like. It usually is like 2 by 2, so it'll be just like, you know, passport size photo. Tape it on the top right of the application. You will need to bring, of course, your passport to show that, you know, you are planning to travel abroad. Some things that weren't really like clear the first time that I spoke to somebody over the phone, they do need to look at your bank history to see if you are financially stable enough to be going to Japan. They're very keen on like knowing every little detail about you, so you'll need to print out an actual bank history record of that to bring to the office. One thing that I found kind of tedious, they do require you to do it. I don't know if this applies to any other Japanese embassy in the country, but the one in Houston, I know, will ask you to make some kind of schedule. It's pretty basic. It's not like you need to write like at such and such time I'll wake up and do this and do this. It's not that. Just like a general schedule, like day 1 I'm going to such and such, and day 2, you know, you get the point. And just remember one last thing. If you guys aren't paying for your actual trip by your own pocket, as in having maybe a parent or guardian paying for your trip, then you will need to send them a letter of guarantee which shows that such and such is paying for your trip and is responsible for you while you're overseas. Depending on your situation here, then that will pretty much determine whether or not you'll need to bring in the form or not. Random side note that I just remembered, if you actually have, I believe it's an chip passport, it's basically like a passport with a chip that's put on the front cover. If you have one of those passports, you're also exempt from that. I totally forgot about that, so just a random thing that I'm gonna add at the very end of this video. So I hope this video helped you guys. I hope I clarified some questions you might have. If I didn't, feel free to comment below and ask these questions. I can certainly help you guys with that, since I've been through the visa application process. So if there are things that you're not sure if you need to bring, or maybe you don't understand like a certain topic that I brought up in this video, I can happily expand on that. But with that being said, I hope that you guys have the best of luck applying for your Japanese visa, and of course, stay safe while you're traveling abroad. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. That would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, I will catch you guys in my next video then. Bye bye!